Hello and welcome to Tech Chat Tuesday. I'm your host, Earl Kelly, owner and founder of EK3 Technologies, right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Today's episode, we're going to talk about social email engineering. Uh, when we first started this web series, we thought, it's probably going to be difficult to find topics that on a weekly basis that you'll be interested in and that you could actually learn from. But as it turns out, we have issues that occur weekly that are occurring with our clients that I think that not only I would like to record historically during these episodes, but I think that would help other people throughout our community. And one of those things that happened this week is social engineering when it comes to emails. So what is social email engineering? Well, social email engineering is an email that came to you that looks like it came from a legitimate person, but once you actually get into that email, you find that it's not necessarily on the up and up. And let me give you a perfect example of that. We had a client who their accounting person received an email from the president of the company. They're a very large company. They received an email from the president of the company, and it said, please transfer some money, and it gave a bank account and a routing number and the bank name. Upon further looking at that email, it was a little bit suspicious because the accounting person actually never gets that kind of email from the owner of the company. But also, she sent it off to her banking person, and the routing number actually didn't match the bank name that was on the email. So the email was sent to us. We did some looking around. We found out that, in fact, the email did not come from the president of the company. The email actually came from outside of the organization. But the email was sent to the accounting person, thinking the accounting person would just do it since the owner of the company went ahead and sent the email. So the next question is then how does that information, how does someone from outside of your organization understand who the owner of the company is and who the accounting person is? And believe it or not, that information is really easy to locate. Here in Florida, you can go to sunbiz.org. You can look up any corporation in the state of Florida. You can look up not only who owns the company, you can look up all of the officers of the company, and you can look up who formed the corporation. Many times the corporation is formed by either an attorney or it's formed by an accountant. So by looking at that information, you may be able to actually discern who is important when it comes to money matters in that particular company. So by looking at some very simple information, I can deduce that this is the owner of the company and this person can be the accountant. I can also look on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will give me any information I can find on corporations. And I can also look at some other, I can Google some other tools that will help me learn who the big players are in just about any corporation. So then what I can do is send an email to you. I can spoof the email address. Spoofing means that I'm sending you an email that looks like it came from the president of your company at yourcompany.com, when in fact my email actually came from somewhere overseas. And a lot of this would actually get caught in a spam filter if possible. But in this particular case, this company didn't have spam filters available for their email service. Since then, we've actually implemented a spam filter. We've implemented our Barracuda solution, and they've actually seen this this type of email actually just drop off altogether. But when we started to look at where the email was coming from, we found out the email came from Nigeria, and we were able to deduce that it actually didn't come from anywhere inside of the company itself. Many times when you get these types of emails, many people are worried that their emails have become hacked or corrupt. And it is possible that emails can, especially if you're using a public email server like Hotmail or MSN or Google or any of the public email servers that you have, it is possible that your email can be hacked. Your email can also be hacked if you're using Office 365 or if you're using anything that is outside of the norm. Anything that's outside of your network. Your email can also be hacked if you're using Exchange internally. However, it's a little bit more difficult because they would have to find the Exchange server. It can still happen, and it happens all the time. So how can you stop this, and how can you prevent it? Well, the first thing I always tell my clients to do is, if they think you've been hacked, anytime you think you've been hacked, change your password. So change your password to on your email service. So if you're using MSN or you're using Google, go ahead and change your password on your email service. That's step number one. Step number two is, let's look at the emails and figure out where they came from. Emails are very notorious for not coming from where they look like they were coming from. So let's look at the email and see what we can deduce from the email. So I'm going to switch you over, and we're going to look at an actual email and see where it came from, and see if we can figure out why this email is fraudulent. All right, so this is the email that I'm going to look at. Now, this particular email is actually, I'm looking at it through Barracuda Cloud Control. Barracuda Cloud Control is a tool that we use. It actually captures emails before they're sent into our client's email box, and it can show us a bunch of details about the email, and it can also prevent the email from going into the email box. So in the particular case that happened yesterday, this email that we're looking at actually came from MSN, and it was sent to one of our clients who uses Office 365, and they actually didn't receive this message. The message was blocked from them because they were using Barracuda. So I'm looking in Barracuda to show you how I can tell that this email didn't come from the person that it looks like it came from. Now, again, if you look at this email, you'll see down here, there's a name, there's an address, there's all this information that looks exactly like that it came from the person. But there's a couple of things that you should look for. Number one, anytime that you hover over any type of address, you should be able to see, in here at the bottom, we can see the link that goes to. And it's real hard to see, but if you look down the bottom of the screen, it shows you that it goes to amanapp.com. And to help you out with that, I can actually show you what that link looks like. So this is the link itself, right? It goes to amanapp.com, and I've never actually heard of AmanaPP. So I could actually Google some link finders if I was concerned, and there's one on the Trend Micro website. So I can go to okay, and I can actually put in that URL, and it will look for me and tell me what it thinks of that particular URL. Okay. Secondly, I can look and see that this caught my eye right here. Copyright 2018, the Mail Team. Never heard of the Mail Team. And thirdly, most of the time when I receive a message, it actually comes from, and it's pasted all over it where it comes from. To get down into some forensics, I can actually look at the source, and in looking at the source of this email and the IP address that the email came from, we were able to deduce in here, if I look down, we were able to deduce that the email actually came from an email address an IP address not within the client's company, and even not within MSN itself. So it was easy to deduce that this email came from outside of where it was supposed to come from. Now, again, I don't want to make this let me rah-rah about the great things about Barracuda, but I do want you to notice that in Barracuda, the link itself actually has if you look at the front of it, oh, I got to go back and copy it. But if I look at the link address itself, you'll see that it has linkprotect.kudaserve.com on the front of it. Barracuda unto itself, whenever emails come in to your email box, it actually has a link protect in it, so that even if you were to accidentally click the link, it would actually protect you from sending that link out. So those are just some of the things to look for when you're looking for emails that look suspicious. First of all, this email was very plain. It really just had a secured message on it. Anytime that I receive a secured message from any email service, be it Barracuda or Microsoft Office or any of those email services, they specify all over it where it comes from, copyright information. There's a whole lot more information than just this. And then if I was to look at the link that this is going to, it would go to a barracuda.com or a microsoft.com or something like that, and it would not necessarily go to just some random URL that I'd never heard of. Secondly, if anytime anything goes to an IP address, again, I tend to look for anytime it goes to an IP address, excuse me, I tend to look for it puts my guard up. So again, looking at some of this information, you can see where the email went and how many other people got this email in the organization. But we were able to deduce that this came from Without. So by looking at an email, if it's email is very funny. If it seems suspicious, probably is suspicious. So it's always better to be safe than sorry. So in this instance, the client actually received a couple phone calls and said, "You sent me a secure message. Why did you do that?" The other thing is, if in this particular instance, if I'm not expecting an email from this particular person that's secure, then there's probably something up with that. So it's something else to look for. So as you can see, social engineering emails are a little bit difficult to detect, which is one of the reasons they're so popular. But being vigilant and understanding what you're receiving in your email is the #1 key to prevention of any sort of breach or attack in your company. If you think you've clicked on something that is fraudulent, please contact your IT provider or your IT department at your company. Always be vigilant for what you're opening. Always understand where it came from. And if you weren't expecting it and it showed up, it's probably not valid. Always better to be safe than sorry. If you think you've opened a social engineering email and you would like us to take a look at your workstation, you can call us on any of our numbers. We have both Tampa and Jacksonville support numbers, so you can call us on either one of these numbers and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Or you can email us at support@ek3tech.com. Thank you so much for your time this week. Hope to see you next week right here on Tech Chat Tuesday from Jacksonville, Florida.